What's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to be pitching an idea for a Guardians of the Galaxy game, because A, I have nothing better to do with my time, and B, Marvel's never going to make one, so why the hell not? Also, I feel like I should point this out. I'm more familiar with DC Comics than I am with Marvel Comics. The extent of my knowledge on the Marvel Cosmic Universe is limited to what I've seen on film, what I've seen in Spider-Man comics, what I've read in certain X-Men comics, what I've seen in the Ultimate Universe, and what little of Brian Bendis' run on Guardians of the Galaxy that I've read. So if I say something that's incorrect, please don't lynch me, but I do feel like there's a lot of potential in a Guardians of the Galaxy game. So without further hesitation, let's jump right into this, shall we? So starting off with the controls, now I'm going to be using the PS4 controller as a template because that's the system that I own, but if you own an Xbox One or a PC, I'm sure that you'll notice that the controllers are basically the same. So starting off with the character movement, you can move the characters like you would any other game by using the L3 bumper. You can move the camera by using the R3 bumper. Jumping can be accomplished by tapping the X button, however, for a larger leap, the player must tap and hold the X button. For melee attacks, the player can hit square, and in order to counter an attack, all you have to do is press the triangle button, not unlike the Arkham games or the Uncharted games. In order to dodge or take cover from enemy fire, all the player has to do is press the circle button. Then there's the third-person shooter aspect. Much like any other shooter, you use L1 to aim and R1 to fire your primary or secondary weapon. You can throw explosives by either tapping the R2 bumper, or you can hold the R2 bumper to arch your explosives, while you aim your arch by using the L3 bumper. The D-pad would serve as the weapon select, with the up direction being for the character's primary projectile weapon, down to select the secondary projectile weapon, left to select the primary melee weapon, and right to select the secondary melee weapon. Alright, so now that the basic controls have been explained, let's talk combat, because while this kind of is a third-person shooter, there's going to be a heavy emphasis on combat in this game. As I mentioned previously, much like in the Uncharted and Batman Arkham games, your melee attacks can be performed by tapping square, and countering enemy attacks can be achieved by pressing the triangle button when prompted to do so. You can also perform grapples and environmental kills by holding X and square down together and dragging your enemy to an environment where you can execute them. Or, after you grab an enemy, you can just kill them with your bare hands by tapping the square button. You can also perform finishers and tag team executions. This can be accomplished by building up your asshole meter, and once you've reached full asshole, you can unleash a devastating finisher by grappling an enemy and then tapping L1. To perform a tag team execution, you grapple an enemy, but instead of tapping L1, the player taps R1, and by doing so, you and your partner can execute an enemy together. Just like friends in real life. Right? Right? Guys? As for the shooting in the game, I can't really tell you it'd be any different from your standard third-person shooter. However, I will say that since this game is set in the weird Jack Kirby creation known as the Marvel Cosmic Universe, you can expect these weapons to do a lot of crazy and messed up stuff to people. As for the story, Xandar has fallen at the hands of the Kree, and most of the Nova Corps has been decimated. And who was on Xandar when all this happened? Gen 13, of course! Well, that was a very obscure reference, and if you got that, high five. If you didn't, it's okay. It's fine. Anyways, the team would be consisting of Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket, Drax, Groot, Venom, and Angela. And as the story goes, the Guardians have to take back Xandar. Now, Xandar in the comics is vastly different than Xandar in the movies. Mainly because in the comics, Xandar is nothing more than a collection of asteroids, and that's the version of Xandar that we'd be exploring in the game. Mainly because it offers a lot of diverse gameplay opportunities. Much like in most open world games, each island offers the player a different way to maneuver around their surroundings. In the case of this game, there'd be 4 asteroids, 3 of which have been taken over by the Kree, and the Guardians, with the help of the remaining Nova Corps members, have to fight to take back Xandar. As for the environments, it's all set on Mustafar! Again, that is a very obscure reference, and if you got that, high five, but if you didn't, congratulations on having a life. But yeah, it's all set on Xandar. Duh. And the player would be able to travel through the 4 asteroids with ease. As the Guardians, you get to travel through the ruins of Xandar and most of its destroyed cities. The player can also explore crashed ships that are both Kree and Xandarian alike, and you can also explore Kree and Xandarian ships that are still hovering above Xandar as well. As for the overall look and feel of the game, after the release of the Guardians movie, that's basically what the comics and TV shows have aped their look after. But if I were in charge of things and I had any say in the matter of a game that will never exist, I'd make it look more like the Bendis Guardians before the movie. But that's just my personal preference. As far as the voice cast goes, while I'm not the biggest fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, I really did enjoy that Guardian-centric episode, and I thought that the voices behind the Guardians in that episode did an amazing job, so I'd just get them back. So that's it. That's my pitch for Guardians of the Galaxy game. Well, this was fun. And I don't mean that in like a sarcastic way. I know I'm sarcastic a lot, but I genuinely enjoyed expressing my ideas to you guys. And this isn't the last game that I'm doing. Next week, I'm going to be doing this again with a character who's had a very troubled past with video game adaptations, but hopefully I can prove that he can have a great, if not halfway decent, video game adaptation. So that's it. If you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and thanks for watching. As always, until next time, adios nachos. Charged up.